It's 5:30 and time for the redevelopment agency for Murray City. Today is Tuesday, February 18th. And let's see, it looks like all of the members of the RDA agency are present. We have the mayor, and we also have Brooke, and we have Jennifer. So, and GL is on his way. All right. So the first thing we have is approval of minutes. Then we have citizen comments, and all citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes or less, and email comments will be entered into the meeting record. So we'll get started with number 1, which is approval of the minutes for January 7th, 2025 and January 21st, 2025, and I will take them together. Does anyone have any changes? Okay, I will take a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 7th and January 21st, 2025.
Second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. We are now at citizen comments, and I already indicated that they're limited to 3 minutes or less, and we do allow email comments. So are there any citizen comments at this time? Were there any email? Okay. All right, we will then continue on. Our first action item is to consider a resolution amending the RDA bylaws, updating the location of the RDA offices, and Chad Wilkinson will be presenting. Hi, Chad.
Hello, thank you. Yeah, actually, you covered most of the presentation. This is a resolution that would change the bylaws. It would change the location for the RDA from the old City Hall location, 5025 South State, to our new location, 10 East, 4800 South. That's the extent of it. We would recommend the RDA board to make this change to your bylaws. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, that's all right. I know. Yeah.
Is this done every year, or just because you're just doing some clerical work?
I think it's good to look at the bylaws each year and see if there needs to be some changes made. Obviously, this is a fairly major one because we have moved locations, so this would only happen once, conceivably. Maybe within, at least in our careers, it will happen once. So, yeah, but this is also a good thing to look at each year to see if there are some tweaks that need to be made.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is an action item, and if there are no more questions, I would appreciate a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution amending the RDA bylaws, updating the location of the RDA offices.
Second?
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
No.
All right. Brooke, would you call the roll?
Mr. Hawk?
Aye.
Mr. Pickett?
Aye.
Ms. Cotter?
Aye.
Mr. Goodman?
Aye.
Ms. Turner?
Aye. Thank you, Brooke. Okay, now we have a presentation for our item number 4, which is Rockworth Companies and staff will present a proposed development of the properties known as Block 1, which is from 4800 South to 5th Avenue and Hanover Street to State Street. And so Rockworth and RDA staff will be presenting. Hi, Chad.
Hello again. Thank you, Chair. This is just a brief introduction of our Rockworth folks that are here with us tonight. We're very pleased to have the Rockworth team here. We have Tom Henriot and Sarah Demelka from Rockworth. Rockworth, as you remember, back in August of 2024, was selected as given a kind of exclusive rights to negotiate for this development by action of the council. So we're here tonight to show the culmination of the last several months of efforts in designing a development that really responds to a lot of different things, responds to the plans that we've articulated in various general plans and plans for our downtown, concerns that have been articulated by the council, by staff. Rockworth has had a chance to take all of those comments and to bring them into a design that we're going to be presenting to the public for the first time tonight. We're excited for you to see it. This is, again, an exciting opportunity that I've been looking forward to for a long time. When I was here before in Murray, we were working on the very preliminary stages of acquiring some properties so that this development could be facilitated. We're excited that we're to this point in the discussion. So I'm going to turn some time over to the Rockworth team to present the plans for Block 1, and then once they're done, I'll get up and just give a little bit of a conclusion and talk about next steps, what the next things that will be happening both at the City Council level and as part of the RDA Board's actions. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get set up here? Give me just a moment. All right. Let's see. Perfect. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for having us, and it's good to see you all again. Most of you are familiar faces, a couple of new faces, but we really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to continue the conversation about Block 1. It has been wonderful to work with your staff. They are so kind and generous, and it's been a great opportunity to kind of come together and learn about the city's wants and needs, the community's wants and needs, and you all's kind of desires for this site. And we feel very honored to have been selected to work through this process. So for those of you who don't know us, we're Rockworth Companies out of Holiday, Utah. A full-service real estate development firm, acquisitions, property management, real estate development. A couple bullet points here just to show you guys who we are, but really what we wanted to drive home here is Rockworth Companies is the developer of Holiday Village. And I think that was really one of the main reasons that Murray City decided they wanted to chat with us, is that we were able to execute kind of this historic downtown Main Street feel in Holiday, and we're hoping to provide something similar in Murray at this amazing Block 1 location. So a similar type of uses, the walkability, best of local restaurants and retailers, similar to Holiday Village. So as you all know, Murray Block 1 is sitting right across the street. This is kind of the current state of the site and the parcels that we're discussing today. And this is what we're looking at as the proposed site plan. So with y'all's comments, as well as the city staff, we've been kind of massaging this site plan to come up with something that's similar to Holiday Village, but best suits this site. Our thought initially is to have, some kind of a mixed use office and retail along Main Street. In keeping with kind of the character of the historic Main Street feel. We're proposing at the moment somewhere around 40,000 square feet of office and retail, so about 20,000 square feet on the main floor, 20,000 above, similar in size to Holiday Village, with a restaurant pad on the corner. We're also proposing an apartment complex in the north corner of the site. It's kind of that L-shaped corner, plan north. And currently we're talking about, somewhere in the 150 units, mix of studios, 1s and 2 bedrooms, more modest in size, not a huge tower, but with appropriate parking included to, make sure that the city parking that was taken over is accounted for. And here's kind of the unveiling of the beautiful renderings that we've been working on. So again, we really want to take into account everybody's ideas and wants and needs for the site, and hope to continue to massage that with you all in the community as we progress. Right now, we're looking at kind of trying to create this historic downtown feel, mix of uses, different building facades, different windows and eyebrows and parapet heights and articulation in the building to really create kind of that historic Main Street feel. Here is another rendering from another perspective, some maybe other color elements, colorways that we could utilize. Again, something similar to Holiday Village, where we've got, kind of that gateway feel into the city. It has the clock tower element, something that really shows, this is Murray. You want to be here. There's a party going on this site and you're missing out. This is our proposal kind of for the back side of the site, the apartment portion. Something that's, masonry. It feels very historic, very, very in keeping with Murray City. I will probably stop there. See if we have questions, comments. Pat, I know you said you wanted to continue as well.
I just want to, before you have any questions, Council, just talk about a couple of things process-wise, but also just talk about this plan. I think one of the things that's been very impressive to me is how Rockworth has responded to both the comments from staff and things that they've heard, in various meetings with the council, things that are important to them. One of the things that we were excited about with this particular elevation, I don't know if I can point here, but one of these facades has been designed specifically to emulate the Murray Mercantile Building. That's something important. We're trying to keep some of those historic elements. The two-story design was, again, something that was very important as articulated by the council to try to keep that historic look and feel of Murray's downtown along State Street. So very important. Of course, there is a residential component that Sarah talked about. That also is another place where there was some back and forth, some design revisions to respond to both comments heard by the council and staff to make this more of a consistent development with historic Murray. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the changes that have been made. Before we go into questions, maybe I'll just outline a little bit more about the remainder of processes that will occur. We had a brief discussion in Committee of the Whole about one of the next steps, which would be to potentially designate one of these properties as surplus. That's a city property right now. If you look at that, it's the property that would be essentially in this portion of the development. That would be a portion of the review that would have to come before the City Council to public hearing. We have that public hearing scheduled for March 4th. That'll be an opportunity for anyone from the public to come in and give comments, ask questions about that process. After that, the next step would be for the RDA board to consider a development agreement. Now, we've been working back and forth with Rockworth on that development agreement. We forwarded that to them. They're going to give us their comments back. We're going to continue to work through that. We hope to have that at your next RDA meeting, which would be March 18th. That's what our goal is. We're shooting for that. We're going to work through those comments, we hope, by that time. So once those two steps have taken place, once the RDA board has heard and decided on whether or not to enter into a development agreement, then we would take next steps to actually get into the nuts and bolts of final design and of implementing this plan. So that's just, again, a brief overview of next steps, the big steps that are coming in the process. Happy to answer any questions, and I know that Sarah and Tom are happy to answer any questions you may have as well.
And Chad, maybe given this plan as well, I'll elaborate just a hair more on a couple of the comments that we received previous that are maybe a little bit hard to see on the plans. So the city has worked very hard on kind of a green open space plan for the site that's kind of in the bottom left corner of the screen. And so a goal of ours is to make sure that we're creating kind of a marriage with that site. Walkability and open space and kind of creating an awesome element where we incorporate that into the overall feel. And so if you look at the buildings, they're broken up with patios and landscaping and open space to kind of create this circulation throughout the site. A comment that we heard also from the city was, obviously this is a larger building, and because of that, there isn't that opening in the building to kind of access through. We are proposing to do kind of a breezeway through so that there is access through this building. It's just hard to see, given that this is an overall floor plan. So those are a couple of the comments that we had received that are maybe a little harder to address without talking through them. So.
Sarah, would you mind talking about the parking plan?
Yeah, not at all.
Garage parking.
Yeah, so as you can see on this plan, this is kind of main level surface parking, but this is not the extent of the parking. We are proposing here as well as here, 2 entrances down to some underground parking. The main reasons for the underground parking would be to kind of allow for the surface parking to be for kind of the retail and office tenants, and to have those apartment tenants parking underground during, so that we're not like creating too much tension with the parking. We can also create more parking underground, which allows for city staff to have some access to parking. So there will be an underground parking structure. It's a little bit hard to tell in this picture, but the blue line is the outline of that parking structure as proposed. So it's this whole area. So it's quite a big area. Yeah, of course.
Any questions from the board that we could answer?
I was just going to see, are there any questions from the board?
So how will the employees know where to park? Is there going to be a designated area? Will there be signs like city employees only, so someone's not parking in their stall? Is it going to be a keypad where a gate comes up and they have access 24/7 because some employees like to come in and do some work or whatever, or they're late at night? I'm just curious how they will access into that parking, and will there be special areas for those that need a handicap parking area? And I just want to make sure, as a council member, that everyone that works in this building has a place that they can park and have a parking stall.
Yeah, I'll take a stab and then let Sarah add on to that, but we have right now in the draft development agreement, as we're talking about this, we have different options. It's a palette of different choices. Certainly a keypad, gated access, that's one option. We want to make sure it's whatever we decide on is the right option, and that'll come back before the board as we go through that. We want to make sure that we're doing this the right way that makes the most sense. In terms of disabled person parking spaces, we want to have those in the right locations as well. There are some code requirements for those disabled person parking spaces. They'll need to be in accessible locations. In terms of this building, you're probably going to want those disabled person parking spaces for this building closer, like the spaces that we have here, so you don't have to cross the street to get to those spaces. But certainly to serve that development, there will be some of those ADA parking spaces available. Anything you want to add to that?
No,
Sarah?
I think the main answer is that we're flexible and we're working through it. So we're open to the conversation. As currently proposed, the downstairs parking garage will be a fully secure, fully gate accessed area. But if we are putting the parking for the city there, then yes, you guys would have a fob and you would be able to access that for whatever hours are needed. You know, let's say a certain staff member comes in at 6 a.m. and leaves at 9. We will work with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say once again, thank you for, at least in concept, for having the Murray Mercantile facade there.
Yeah.
That's going to mean a lot for our people. Many people have fond memories of that building, and to be able to just have a facade that pays homage to that, I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And also, could you explain why, I don't know how to word this and not be offensive, but
No, that's okay.
so
Go
be
for
it. Can you explain why you want to do an apartment complex? And also, can you tell us also how the bottom level is going to be apartments, but eventually it can turn into businesses, or, right? Is that what I understood from the report that I was given? Maybe I'm wrong, but go ahead.
I think she's talking about the design of those with the higher ceiling heights on the first floor.
Okay.
That could allow
Yeah.
for some adaptive.
Yeah, we haven't contemplated adaptive reuse of
Oh.
the bottom level.
okay.
So it's something that we're willing to talk about.
Okay.
The apartment buildings, typically we do our higher ceiling levels on the first and the top levels.
Yeah.
So again, it's something that we can talk about. I would love personally a world where condominium development is an option. It's something actually that Tom and I are working very actively with the Utah legislature to change. But condo development is really, really difficult. And unless you're buying and building luxury condos, they can be really hard to get off of the ground. So for us, you know, not to throw myself under the bus, but the typical apartment dweller who is able to afford an apartment is somebody like me at an AMI like me. And so my hope would be that a gorgeous apartment complex like this actually breathes beautiful life into this project, right? And it kind of creates this awesome meld of people who live on the site and are also patronizing those restaurants and retail kind of at all hours. And it creates just a beautiful flow. This is a big enough site that it can support some housing. Again, if it could be condos and if, you know, some of the liabilities and the financing and the hurdles could change, we would love that. But that's not really the world that we live in at the moment.
And also because the plans on the State Street is lower, you've got to have something that is feasible for you as a developer. And so
Yes.
the apartments help that, because that was one thing in the survey. They did not want anything tall
Yeah.
on State Street. They wanted that eye level. They wanted that familiar feeling.
Yeah, this is definitely a modest site. By no means are we maximizing its use. You know, maximizing its use would look like a 7-story apartment building across the whole site and
Yeah.
possibly 300 to 500 units, right?
Yes.
So I think the goal here is to create a modest development that's really in keeping with the Main Street feel of Murray. And we're able to do that because of the generosity of Murray City and the partnership, and we're appreciative of that opportunity.
I'll just add the other side of that, which is we're very appreciative that we have a development partner that's willing to look at designs that don't necessarily maximize that development potential on the site. And I think that's important. And part of the discussion we'll be having with you in the next few weeks is related to things that the city can contribute to make that happen. Because there is, as you mentioned, there is a financial consideration for this project as well. It needs to be able to be feasible. So that's where, and this is really the purpose of RDAs. This is where you come in when we have land acquisition, when we have parcel consolidation, all these things that are difficult for a developer to accomplish very well. We have two things going for us. We have some of the RDA laws that have been passed that allow us to use tax increment dollars for some of these things. But the city also has the advantage of time, right? I mentioned before that we've been working on this project for many, many years, and that I was involved in some of the original acquisitions over a decade ago. So it does take time for these acquisitions to occur as properties come up for sale. So this is a place where a public-private partnership can really work well as we bring what we have to offer, which is the tools that the RDA has available to it. And the developer, we have a willing developer that's willing to listen to you and bring a design that really meets the vision and the goals and objectives for that downtown that we've been working on for a long time.
I appreciate that. I've been on the council for about 11 years, well, almost going on 12. We've been trying to develop this for that whole time. And anyway, we've been trying to develop this. We've had a few offers, but this, from my perspective, far exceeds what we've had up till now, and I really appreciate it. My concern is the parking, as council member Ham also is concerned, and I think with good reason. It sounds like you're aware of that, and I appreciate that, and I know that our CED department is very aware of it as well, and so hopefully we can work together. But I think it's a great plan, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And on the parking, we are working together. It's in the development agreement. We're working through solutions and options. So definitely a conversation we'll continue to have and develop to make sure it works for everyone.
Thank you. I mean, we just want to make sure that our employees are safe and that they have places to park, and also visitors. So anyway, and I know you're aware of that, so I won't continue ad nauseum, but thank you.
Yes, of course.
This question isn't for, it's for Chief Middleton back there. So this will be the first underground parking structure for Murray. What kind of additional concerns do you have with this, with car fires, EV fires down there? Has this been kind of thrown around the firehouse as far as new training that's going to have to be brought on?
I haven't seen this set of plans yet as far as the rough draft, and so I'm wondering if it's multiple story underground or if it's just a single story. But either way, the answer will be what they would end up being required to put in is a sprinkler system on the underground system, and then also it would have a standpipe system where we would hook up top and then be able to plumb that water system down in through the structure. And so that will definitely eat into their costs, and I assume that they've thought about that.
Yes, it's accounted for, and it is a single level.
A single level, yeah. So one of the concerns that we're working through now would just be to make sure that any EV parking, if we could keep it up on the surface, that seems to be a much better fire protection system rather than if we ever were to have an EV fire, that high heat can cause a lot of damage. Where code allows it to go down into parking structures underground currently right now, but it is definitely not suggested, tested, or proved in society. So I would strongly advise just the builders as well as the city, if we could keep that up top, that would be a much better idea for it. Which the downside is then, if you have an EV car, you're not getting the shade. Down below is the downside. But anyhow, there's just a couple of cases across the world that are having these issues with parking structures now being placed out of service or out of commission for it. So, but they are nice to have that shade. So maybe some shade up top would be good for them.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks,
Any
Chief.
other?
No, that was it.
So I have two questions. First, I'll keep on the parking train that we're on.
I told her no ad nauseam.
Is the idea for the residents to be on the lower floor and then visitors on the upper floor of the parking?
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And then are the apartments, we're looking at market rate
Correct.
across the board? Yeah.
Any further questions? Okay, I guess we're good. Thank you
Thanks.
so much.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right, that's the last part of our agenda, so we are adjourned.